Hi, I'm TJ Hoisington, and I'm excited to share with you a little bit about the Swiss Family Robinson ingenuity. I mean, think about it. Imagine for a moment you were on a ship and you found yourself shipwrecked, and then you began living on a deserted island. How would you survive? Not only survive, Swiss Family Robinson, the family, began to thrive on that island. And I want to show you just one thing they did that I thought was pretty cool. And I'm up in my tree house, actually not my tree house, my kids' tree house, but we have two tree houses on our property up here in the Northwest. And although it's not built the greatest and look the prettiest, my kids have a lot of fun in this tree house. When I first got into reading the old antique versions, the 1800 versions of Swiss Family Robinson, there was something that caught my attention. In one of the books, they spoke of the Robinsons making their own candles, and the way they did it was through using candleberry bushes, or a similar bush to that would be a bayberry bush. Okay, now because of the weather and where we are in the Northwest, I found it difficult to find the actual plant. So what I did to do this little experiment and to share it with you, I actually melted down an existing candle. Okay, and we're going to see together if it works. So here's how it all came about. They talked about in the book, all they said was that the Robinson family made candles out of candleberry bush, but they never explained exactly how they did it. Well, my creative brain started thinking, and I woke up at 1 o'clock in the morning, and boom, there was the answer. I figured it out. And the answer that came to me was, how would you form a candle? Once you melt down the berries and you get the wax off the berries, how would you form it? And then it dawned on me, they would use bamboo. And you know what? Bamboo can be used for so many different things, like making arrows, making traps, all kinds of things. And I cover a little bit of that in my book because they use bamboo quite a bit. Okay. But one of the things that I thought that they would do is that they would cut off a piece of bamboo on one end below the knot, if you will, or whatever it's called, the knot, and the other side above it. Okay, so one below and above. All right, so basically it looked like this. I'm going to go ahead and cut it right here, and I'll show you what I mean. This was one of two ideas that I came up with as I started writing the book. All right. My thought was, because it's hollow, if you can see that right here, it's hollow in there and the other side is solid, wouldn't it make sense that the Robinsons would pour their wax, heat it up, they would pour it into this particular shaft. So that's what we're going to do right here. So let's go ahead and let's do it. And we're going to take our hot wax that has already sort of melted, and we're going to pour it in here. If you can see this, I'm going to just, let me turn around here, see if it makes it a little bit better here. I'm going to pour it in. And then what we're going to do, sorry, I'm turning my back towards you. Not the best thing to do, but and what we're going to do is we are going to actually pour a little bit of that out. And what we're going to do is set it aside. Now, we need a wick. So this is what the cotton twine is for. All right, so we're going to try to sink this baby. And it looks like it's going down just fine. I am pretty sure that hit the bottom. So we're just going to leave it up here at the top for a second. Now, here was the original idea that I came up with and the way I wrote about it in my book, which is a little bit different. And you'll notice we have the wax. You notice we have the wick. So here, I'll show you what we're doing here. And you'll see exactly why I have this, connected the way that it is. Okay, a little bit of fabric on there and a little piece of wood. We're going to be using this in a second. And then we have our bamboo, and this is already pre-cut, and what I did was split it. Now, a couple things you might want to know about this is, number one is, because the grains are long, it's easy to split this way. But the grain down here is not vertical, and so it would just break apart. So one thing I had to do was I had to score it just a little bit. Okay, I don't know if you can see that, but I had to score it just a little bit. So when I then took the chisel right down there and took the hammer and hit it, it easily broke apart. All right. So that's basically what we did. And then if you can see here, I put little rivets in it so that when we tie it back together, the little twine doesn't move up and down, okay? And this is gonna be a little bit crazy to do, but here we go. All right, we're gonna see if this works. And so the first thing we wanna do is we wanna prepare our wick. And the way that you officially prepare a wick is you dip it in. You dip it all the way in, actually, right there. All right, and then we're gonna just set that aside for a second, and we're gonna let that cool because we want it to become solid. All right, and then we're gonna put it in to our little bamboo. Okay, now that that is done, we're gonna now put it, because it's quick to dry in this cold weather. If you haven't noticed, I'm breathing out some cold air. I mean, this is the Pacific Northwest and it's halfway through November. So here's what we're gonna do. We are going to, if you can see this, we're gonna put that right down there and we're gonna press it down. And then we're gonna put the front on it. And this is how I envision the Robinsons doing their candles, and they would do 12 at a time. And she actually had built a chamber for each of them to sit in when they were done, and then by the next morning they would cool and you'd have your candles. We kind of have a little bit of a different setup here because I didn't want to create a 12 chamber or even a single chamber out of vines and timber. So we're kind of doing it a little bit differently and a little bit easier than they had the opportunity to do it. So right now what we need to do is we need to seal this baby. And so we're going to take it around and we're going to wrap it. We're going to make sure we wrap it really good. We are going to take it across the top. All righty. And then we're going to go underneath. All right. We're just going to cinch it really tight, and then we're going to do it again. And hopefully this twine will hold. All right. Now, I'm thinking that that is pretty close, but I have to say it is not perfect. So one of the things we want to do is really seal that hole down at the bottom with that fabric. And this is some of the things that the Robinsons would have to do to make sure that it was done right. All right, now what we're going to do is we are going to pour the hot or melted wax into this, and then we'll finish the top and we'll let it sit. All right. All right, can you see that okay? And now the next thing I want to do is I want to put it in here. This is my makeshift holder. We're going to put a little square knot there. Perfect. Now, here is something we do need to deal with, and that's our wick. And the way we're going to do that is we are going to take one of these other little just twigs, broken twigs, and what we want to do is wrap it a few times, and all we're trying to do is make sure that this is centered, and that is going to be pretty close. I think that's going to be just right. Okay, so there we go. We're going to let this sit, and we're going to see how this candle turns out. We'll see if it works. We'll see if it, you know, comes apart properly, or does the whole thing break apart, or the idea that I had that I wrote about over a year ago for making candles. We'll see if this could have really worked on Robinson Island. Cross your fingers, and I'll be back in a few minutes to show you the end result. All right? Okay, welcome back. Okay, so I've waited inside the house for about an hour and a half, and in that time, I don't know if you can hear it. I'll be quiet for just a second. Do you hear the rain? It started to rain. That's the Northwest for you. Anyway, it's been great the last few days. Other than cold, there hasn't been much rain, and then all of a sudden it came. Okay, so let's see if this worked, all right? All right, let me undo this. All right, ooh, it still feels a little bit warm, so I'm going to be really delicate with it. Let's go ahead and give it a shot. All right, I'm going to undo this. So here we go. You ready? I'm going to break this apart. I'm going to be really careful here. There you go. Look at that. Look at that. Can you see that? Huh? All right. Wow. Okay. Now let's see if we can take it off. Well, look at that. Came out pretty easy, actually. Wow. Came up with something pretty cool here. I'm surprised myself. Anyway, check that. Okay, so that's what the inside looks like. A little bit red. But we would take our scissors, boom, boom, and it is a little bit warm still. It's a little bit warm, but there you go. Wow. Is that awesome? It would have worked. My idea that it came up with late at night actually worked. Pretty cool. A little candle. There you go. We can actually use this baby. All right, let's see if this one worked. Okay. We're gonna go ahead. I'm thinking about the best way to do this, and I think the best way to do it is to score it. Okay, I'm sure that I got all the way through. Okay. Let's see if this works. You ready? Here we go. Okay, we started it there. And we're gonna twist it a little bit. And look at that. There we go. The same thing. We just cut that off and we have 2 candles. Wow. Using very basic, primitive, natural resources. The Robinson family was amazing. See you on my next video. Bye for now.